Let's get ready to rumble!
What up, y'all? It's Dat Boy back with a special edition of Throwdown Thursday. I have a huge Greek cuisine that I'm about to prepare for Thanksgiving, but first, we need to get to our picks. We got NFL action, we got college football, we got old man boxing, and maybe some other stuff. Let's get to it. All right, so last week in the NFL, it started off with the Cardinals going down to the Seahawks. I was definitely a sucker. I bet on the Cardinals thinking they would recreate that magic from the Hail Mary again, but of course they didn't and didn't get the cover. So we're going to knock the Seahawks up a half point, and we're going to knock the Cards down a half point. The Browns hold on to take down the Eagles. Chubb rushes for over 100 yards again. Browns get the cover, knocking them up half a point, and the Eagles blow another one. No Drew Brees, no problem. Saints handle the Falcons. Saints go up another half point. Falcons sliding back down again. The Skins handle the Bengals, only sending Joe Burrow out for the season. I mean, with that offensive line, it was only a matter of time, but good stuff so far this year, Joe Burrow. Hopefully you get healthy. So we'll knock the Skins up a half point, but the Bengals losing Burrow. This team's not going to be any good. Panthers shut out the Lions. The Lions were actually the favorite in that, so we're going to knock them down a full point, and then we'll knock the Panthers up a point. In the least surprising outcome, the Steelers handle the Jags. Steelers creeping closer to the Chiefs, and the Jags creeping closer to the bottom. The Titans with the big upset over the Ravens, climbing the ladder in the AFC standings. Derrick Henry went for over 130 and a touchdown. Titans getting a full point bump after that win. The Ravens sliding down. The Texans beat the Patriots by a touchdown, even though Cam threw for over 360 yards. Texans were actually the underdog in this one, so we're going to give them a half point or a full point bump. And then the Pats sliding down. The Miami Dolphins run finally comes to an end by all teams, the Broncos. Broncos get the upset. Dolphins finally start coming back down to earth. The Jets fought hard and scored more than 10 points this game, but still not enough to get past the Chargers. Now, even though the Jets still didn't get a win, they did get the cover, so we're going to knock them up a half point, and we're going to knock the Chargers down a half point. Colts get the win over a good Packers team. This game was almost a pick 'em, so I'm going to give the Colts a half point for getting the win, and then knock the Packers down a half point for losing. Cowboys get another win against the red-hot Vikings. Cowboys with no quarterback get the upset and move up a point. Vikes sliding back down. Chiefs win a close one against the Raiders. The Raiders just seem to kind of have that magic against them, but of course Patrick Mahomes still throws for over 302 touchdowns. Chiefs didn't get the cover though, so we're going to go ahead and knock them down a half point, tied with the Steelers. Raiders somehow, some way just keep climbing the power rankings. And then for Monday Night Football, a battle between two NFC heavyweights. The Rams edge out the Bucks. So the Rams are actually underdogs in this. We're going to knock them up to 6, and then we're going to knock the Bucks down a full point. All right, so here are the new power ratings headed into Week 12. We finally have a tie at the top with the Chiefs and the Steelers. And then we got the Jags, Cowboys, and Jets still fighting for the bottom, although without Joe Burrow, Bengals might be in that group as well. All right, so this past week in the NFL, I followed up a great week with an absolute stinker going 0-5. The Cards magic ran out. The Falcons can't beat the Saints even without Breeze. Packers are apparently not a great team if they can't put away the Colts. Back to below 500. Womp womp. All right, let's take a look at the lines coming up for Thanksgiving and Week 12. All right, first game on Turkey Day, we got the Lions hosting the Texans. As far as injuries go, it looks like Cobb is out for the Texans and Stills. Laramie Tunsil's going to play, but they got a running back out. For the Lions, they're going to be missing Amendola. Galladay is out, missing the D end. I forgot the Texans at 1.5 plus half for their injuries. I got Lions at +3, -1 for being at home, but +1 for their injuries. My spread on the game are Texans by -1.5. This game opened up with Lions by 2. Now it's Texans by 3. My numbers tell me they got a little bit of edge on the Lions. They are playing at home, but they always do lose on Thanksgiving. I think I'm leaning towards the Lions on this one, but I might stay off. Both these teams don't really get me that excited. Next up, we got the Cowboys hosting the Skins. Skins got a bunch of players questionable for Thursday. Looks like Cowboys are missing a linebacker and a corner. Skins at +6.5 and then +0.5 point. And then I got the Cowboys at +7, +1 for their injuries and then -1 for being at home. I got this game as a pick 'em. Cowboys opened up this game at minus 11.5. Now it's been moved down to 3. I have no idea why this Cowboys team is favored against anybody. It doesn't seem like the Skins have any new quarterbacks that got murdered over the last week, so I don't know why they're not going to blow out the Cowboys. Even though I'm wearing my old school Troy Aikman jersey, I'm picking the Skins. And then for the night game, we got a rematch of the absolute banger. The Steelers hosting the Ravens. Looks like Calais Campbell is still out for the Ravens. Smith is questionable. Wolf is questionable. Joe Hayden is questionable for the Steelers. Smith-Schuster is questionable. All right, so I got the Ravens at 5.5 and then plus a half for their injuries. I got the Steelers at -8 and then -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are Steelers by 4. Vegas opened this up with actually Steelers as a point favorite. Now it's 5 or 4 points depending on which book that you're looking at. I mean, my numbers are about right. It's about a 4-point spread in Vegas at most books. Something in my gut just wants me to take the Ravens because it's just like they have to win this game if they still want to compete for the 1 seed and the top of the AFC North and all of that. But they haven't looked that good recently, and the Steelers have just kept rolling. It almost seems like it's a matter of time before the Steelers lose, but I don't know. I might stay off this. If I do pick it, probably be the Ravens. Next up, we got the Vikings hosting the Panthers. Bridgewater is probable. Looks like the Panthers are missing a guard, a D-end, a center, and another guard. Caffrey's doubtful. For Minnesota, looks like they're missing a linebacker. So I got the Panthers at +4 and then +2 for their injuries. I got the Vikes at +1.5, -1 for being at home, and then +0.5 for their injuries. My spread on the game are Vikes by 5. This game opened up with the Vikings at -3.5, and it's pretty much stayed that way. I guess I should kind of lean on Minnesota. Maybe I hammered the Panthers too hard for their injuries. This line seems about right. I mean, Minnesota was red hot. Now they just lost. So I don't really know what to make with them. And the Panthers, they can't beat teams when they have good players in. All of a sudden, they get a backup QB and all these backups in, and they get a win last week. So I think I was going to stay off this one. Next up, we got the Colts hosting the Titans. Titans got Clowney on the IR. Bunch of other players questionable and banged up. Forrest Buckner is out for the Colts. All right, so I got the Titans at -4, and I got the Colts at -4, but then I got the Colts at -1 for being at home. And then I didn't calculate their injuries because they seem to have a similar injury report. So I got the Colts at -1. Vegas opened up the Colts at -4. Now it's been moved down to 3.5, 3, depending on where you're going. I honestly don't know who's better, the Colts or the Titans. So if I'm going to get points in a game, I'm just going to go with the underdog. I should have went with the Titans last week, but I was kind of afraid of the Ravens. Now, I like this Titans team. I love Derrick Henry. If they're getting points against a team I think they're even with, let's roll with them. Next up, we got the Pats hosting the Cardinals. Cardinals have a bunch of players questionable. For the Pats, Edelman is out indefinitely. They're also missing a linebacker. Burkhead is out. So I got the Cards at -2, +0.5 for their injuries. I got the Pats at +4.5, +2 for their injuries, or -1 for being at home. I got this game with the Cards by a touchdown. Vegas opened up this game with the Pats +2. Now it's basically moved up to 2.5 in most places. Just from a straight talent perspective and how these teams have been playing, the Cardinals have definitely been playing better than the Pats this year. They definitely have more talent. With this game being under a field goal, I'm definitely taking the Cards. They're a better team. Let's go. Next up, we got the Jags hosting the Browns. Browns have Sendejo questionable. Obviously, OBJ's out for the season, but they're also missing Ward. And even though it's not on this list, I heard that Myles Garrett tested positive for COVID, so it looks like he's going to be out for the game as well. It's a huge loss. For the Jags, they got a new quarterback this week. Glennon steps up to the plate. All right, so we got the Browns at -1, then +3 for their injuries. I got the Jags at +7.5, +1 for their injuries, -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are Browns by 5.5. Jags opened up as only a 1-point dog, but now it's been moved to about 6.5. I don't mind taking the Browns and over a touchdown over a team like the Jags. Jags are just not good at all, but it looks like the Browns are going to be banged up on defense, and this offense hasn't been the same without OBJ in, and Baker Mayfield looks like he gets worse every week. So I'm going to pass. Next up, we got the Jets hosting the Dolphins. Tua has been named the starter against the Jets, even though Fitzpatrick was playing last game. The Jets are missing a tackle. Darnold's questionable. A bunch of other players questionable. All right, so the Dolphins at -0.5 point. I got the Jets at +8, +1 for their injuries, and then -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are Dolphins by 8.5. This game opened up with the Dolphins by 7, and it's pretty much stayed at 7 everywhere. So my numbers don't give me a huge edge here, but I still feel like taking the Dolphins anyway. I said like a month or two ago that I should probably bet against the Jets every week. They are literally 3-7 against the spread. So as long as it's not a double-digit spread, I feel like I should just probably take it every week. I'm going with Dolphins. Next up, we got the Falcons hosting the Raiders. Raiders got a bunch of players questionable. Julio Jones was banged up last game for the Falcons. Ridley is also banged up as well. All right, so we got the Raiders at -3. I got the Falcons at +1, +0.5 for their injuries, and then -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are Raiders by 3.5. Vegas opened up this game at about 3, and it's pretty much stayed there. Yeah, this game seems to be about a field goal. That's what my numbers pretty much say as well. I'm definitely inclined to take the Raiders in this game over the Falcons if I had to. I mean, the Raiders always close out games, and the Falcons never close out games. Next up, we got the Bengals hosting the Giants. Giants pretty much still have the same injuries as they've had all season, nothing too new. And of course, with the Bengals, Joe Burrow is out for the season. B. Allen, whoever that is going to be the starter now. So we got the Giants at +5. I got the Bengals at +7, +5 for having Burrow out, and then -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are the Giants by 6. Vegas opened up this game with Bengals as a favorite, but with Joe Burrow being out, it looks like the Giants are also a 6-point favorite. Yeah, my numbers are on the same on this game. I mean, I definitely would look to go at the Giants on this one. I mean, the Bengals were already a pretty poor team, even with Burrow playing well, so without Burrow, I don't know what they have. But then again, the Giants aren't really worth laying 6 points against most teams, so probably just going to stay off this stinker of a game. Next up, we got the Bills hosting the Chargers. Chargers are still banged up. They still have the same injuries pretty much all year. Pouncey, Eckler, Harris. Although it looks like Bosa's going to be back in the lineup. Buffalo has a bunch of players questionable. We'll see how these injuries play out. All right, so we got the Chargers at +5. I got the Bills at -4.5, and then -1 for being at home and -1 for coming off the bye. My spread on the game are Bills by 11.5. Vegas opened up this game at 5.5 and it's pretty much stayed that way. I really don't want to lay points with the Bills again this year, but they're definitely way better than the Chargers. I mean, the Chargers had to scrape by the Jags last week and still couldn't get a cover. I mean, as long as this game's under a touchdown and Buffalo's coming off a bye, I'm taking the Bills. I'll lose money on them again. Next up, we got the Rams hosting the Niners. Niners still have everybody on the injury list. They're missing a corner now, too. Kittle's still on the IR. Solomon Thomas and Bosa still on the IR. Deebo Samuel's questionable. The Rams are missing a couple players on defense. All right, so I got the Niners at +0.5 point, +2 for their injuries, but -1 for coming off a bye. I got the Rams at -6, +1 for their injuries, but -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are Rams by 7.5. Vegas opened up this game with Rams by 7 and it's pretty much stayed that way. The Niners thumped the Rams in the first meeting, but the Rams have still looked good since then. I mean, they have one of the best defenses in the league, which helps them stay consistent. Their offense is kind of up and down. I think 7's a good number for this one. I don't really see an edge in this one, so I'm probably going to pass. Next up, we got the Broncos hosting the Saints. Breeze obviously still out. They're still missing a guard. Looks like the Broncos don't have any new injuries. Vegas opened up this game with Saints by 6, and it's pretty much stayed that way. I don't think I've bet on the Broncos all year this year, and the Falcons definitely screwed me up last week by not beating the Saints team without Breeze. I mean, the Saints roster is very deep, don't get me wrong, but come on, the drop off from Breeze to the next guy, it's huge. Broncos have got some sneaky upsets and kept some games close recently this year. My numbers say 2.5. Vegas is saying 6. I'm going to roll with the Broncos this week. And then for the late afternoon spot, we have a showdown going on this Sunday. Pat Mahomes versus Tom Brady. Let's go. KC's looking pretty healthy other than Watkins, who's questionable. Tampa Bay is also looking pretty healthy. Ooh. All right, so I got the Chiefs at -8. I got the Bucks at 5.5 and then -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are Chiefs by 1.5. Vegas opened up this game with KC at -2.5 and then now it's been moved to 3.5. My numbers are telling me I should not go with Mahomes. The Chiefs really haven't been blowing teams out this year, but I can't bet against Pat Mahomes. I also can't really bet against Tom Brady. This is a conundrum. I mean, my natural instinct is telling me I'm getting more than a field goal at home with Tom Brady. Why am I not betting on him? And the answer is Patrick Mahomes. Tom Brady used to be the greatest quarterback of all time. Patrick Mahomes is now the greatest quarterback of all time. And for the Sunday night game, we got the Pack hosting the Bears. Bears got a bunch of players questionable, including Foles. Green Bay's got a bunch of players questionable. So I got the Bears at -0.5 point, then -1 for coming off a bye. I got the Packers at -5, and then -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are Packers by 4.5. Vegas opened up this game with Packers as a 7.5 point favorite, and then it's gone up to anywhere from 8.5. My numbers are telling me to go with this Bears team, but they have no offense, and while their defense is good, it's not great. Although I haven't really seen the Packers blow people out recently. They haven't been looking that great. They've been giving up a ton of points, and on offense, Rodgers is still getting his yards, but they still don't seem to be controlling games like they usually do. Leaning on the Bears. We'll see what happens on game day. And then for the Monday night matchup, we got the Eagles hosting the Seahawks. Seahawks are still kind of banged up with some players questionable. Eagles also have a bunch of players questionable. Their injuries look like a wash. So we got the Seahawks at -5 and then -1 for coming off a long week. And then the Eagles at +2 and -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are Seahawks by a touchdown. Vegas opened up this game with the Eagles as a 4.5 point dog. Now it's pretty much that, maybe 5 in some places. I finally get a chance to bet on Russell Wilson again. This Eagle team stinks. They definitely have motivation because they're still somehow fighting for the NFC East. That's because the rest of the teams are terrible, not because the Eagles are playing well. I got a little bit numbers edge here going with the Seahawks. I love Russell Wilson. Hopefully they can play a little bit of defense. Let's go. All right, so here are the games that I'm going to be looking at for this Turkey Day weekend. I probably need to whittle this list down, or I just need to keep all of them because that's the only way I'm really going to make ground above 500. Or I could just lose all of them and then just go broke on the year. Either way, I love gambling. All right, that's it for the NFL lines this week. Let's take a look at college football. All right, so last week in the NCAA, I finally had a positive record and went 3-2. Still about 15 games below 500 on the season. I would actually do better if I just pick games at random than what I'm currently doing right now. All right, for Turkey Day football, we got Utah State versus New Mexico. Pass. So we got Texas hosting Iowa State, and it's pretty much a pick 'em. I've been looking for opportunities to fade Texas all year. Sam Ehlinger's great as their QB, but their defense is bad. Iowa State's been playing a lot better this year. I always think they're a fraud every year, but I think this year they actually seem pretty decent. Iowa is a 2-touchdown favorite over Nebraska. Iowa just pounded Penn State, but apparently Penn State's not very good. Nebraska just got walloped by Illinois, though. I'm kind of inclined to take the points here with Nebraska. Maybe they really are just that bad. Probably going to stay off this game. Notre Dame is a 5-point favorite to North Carolina. Feels like it should be more than that. It seems like Notre Dame should be at least a touchdown favorite or more over North Carolina. I know a lot of power rankings liked North Carolina earlier in the year. They did lose to Florida State, which definitely hurt their rank. But maybe this North Carolina team is pretty good because that number should seem bigger. I'm leaning on North Carolina in this one just because the number seems weird. I'll have to do some further investigation to see why. Florida is a 24.5-point favorite over Kentucky. I know Florida's been doing well and they're getting hyped up right now. I've definitely won and lost money on Florida this year. Kentucky's defense is pretty stout. That's a lot of points in a conference game. I think I'm going to take Kentucky. Ohio State is a 28-point favorite over Illinois. Ohio State was the only team I could trust this year until they didn't get the cover against Indiana, but they still got the win. I'm rooting for the Bucs to go to the national championship, but I'm not going to take that big of a spread, especially if Illinois just blew out Nebraska. I'm going to pass. Go Bucks. For the bottom of the Big Ten, we got Michigan playing Penn State, with Michigan being a 2-point favorite. These two teams are not the same as they usually are. I have no idea what to make of them. I'm going to pass on them for right now. And in the good old-fashioned Iron Bowl, we got Alabama hosting Auburn. I completely forgot to bet on Alabama every time this year. I hate Bo Nix for Auburn for their quarterback. I'm just going to bet on Alabama just because. Let's go. Roll Tide. Clemson is a 24-point favorite over Pitt. Probably not going to take that one, but interesting to know. Texas A&M is a 15-point favorite over LSU. Georgia's a 21.5-point favorite over South Carolina. Florida State is catching 9 points to Virginia. Washington is about a touchdown favorite over Utah. Yes, this Utah team's usually pretty strong, but USC kind of handled them last week. Washington's still pretty strong team. A touchdown spot on this game seems about right. Probably going to stay off this one. Need to learn more about Utah. All right, here's what I'm looking at for college football. I'll probably just end up adding Ohio State to this anyway. If you guys like any games, definitely leave them in the comments for me. All right, let's check out the final line on this Tyson-Roy Jones fight. All right, so it looks like Tyson is still a 2-1 favorite over Roy Jones Jr. Roy's getting plus 160. Jake Paul is minus 240 over Nate Robinson at plus 190. I think I got to take Nate Robinson here. He's a professional athlete going against some just random overprivileged white boy. Like, let's go. And then going down this Friday, we got the match. We got Manning and Curry versus Mickelson and Barkley. Even though Charles Barkley has a professional golfer on his team is still the underdog in this. That is a bad golf swing. I don't know anything about golf though either. I think I'm still taking Mickelson. I mean, he's the only pro out there. Even though if he is dragging Barkley along with him. But hey, let me know who you think's gonna win in the match 3. All right, y'all. That's pretty much it for the Thanksgiving Day edition of Throwdown Thursday. May the gambling gods bless you this holiday weekend. And until next time, y'all have a good one.